I stood in my hotel room, the city lights bleeding through the window, casting long shadows across the floor. My phone buzzed. A message from Dylan. A blurry photo loaded on the screen, followed by words that made my blood run cold. She was never yours to begin with. My chest tightened. Tomorrow was supposed to be my wedding day. Tomorrow I was supposed to marry Amanda. But right now, staring at that message, everything I thought I knew was crumbling. The question was not whether I would break. It was what I would do when I put myself back together. Before I tell you what happened next, let me know where you are watching from in the comments below. Hit that like button and subscribe, because what I did to make him pay is something you will not want to miss. Now let me take you back to where it all started. I met Amanda 3 years ago at an art gallery in Portland. It was one of those crisp autumn evenings where the air smelled like rain and coffee. I had wandered into the exhibition alone, needing a break from blueprints and client meetings. I was standing in front of an abstract painting, trying to make sense of the chaos of colors, when I heard her voice behind me. "It is about the feeling, not the meaning," she said. I turned. She stood there in a navy dress, hair pulled back, eyes bright with confidence. We debated that painting for 20 minutes. She argued it was pure emotion. I insisted art needed structure. Neither of us won, but we exchanged numbers. Our first date was the following weekend at a small Italian restaurant in the Pearl District. She ordered the carbonara. I got the bolognese. We talked until the staff started stacking chairs. Over the next 2 years, Amanda became my world. We shared a love for design and architecture. She was an interior designer with her own growing studio. I was an architect at a mid-sized firm downtown. Our lives fit together like puzzle pieces. We spent weekends exploring the Columbia River Gorge, attending open houses just to critique the layout, and cooking elaborate meals that usually ended in laughter and takeout. 6 months ago, I proposed. I took her back to that same gallery where we met. I had designed a custom ring, simple but elegant, with a small emerald instead of a diamond, because she once mentioned she hated how common diamonds were. When I got down on one knee in front of that same abstract painting, she cried. She said yes. I remember thinking I was the luckiest man alive. Dylan had been my best friend since sophomore year at the University of Oregon. We met during a pickup basketball game at the rec center. He was loud, competitive, always pushing limits. I was quieter, more measured. Somehow it worked. We became inseparable. After graduation, we both ended up in Portland. He went into marketing. I pursued architecture. Every Thursday we played basketball at the gym near my apartment. Every summer we took a backpacking trip through the Cascade Mountains. When I decided to propose to Amanda, Dylan was the first person I told. We were sitting at our usual sports bar watching a Blazers game, and I just blurted it out. He clapped me on the back, bought a round of drinks, and toasted to my future. When the time came to choose a best man, there was no question. Dylan was my brother in every way that mattered. He helped with the wedding planning more than I expected. He coordinated the bachelor party, helped me pick out my tuxedo, even drove with me to the winery in Willamette Valley to finalize details with the venue manager. Amanda seemed to appreciate his involvement too. She would text him about decoration ideas or ask his opinion on color schemes. At the time, I thought it was great that my fiancée and my best friend got along so well. The wedding was set for a Saturday in early October. We had invited around 150 people. The venue was a beautiful winery with rolling vineyards and a restored barn for the reception. Amanda spent months obsessing over every detail. The flowers had to be white peonies and eucalyptus. The tables needed vintage gold candelabras. The cake was a 4-tier masterpiece with hand-painted floral designs. Her excitement was contagious. Both our families were thrilled. My parents adored Amanda. Her parents treated me like the son they never had. But 2 weeks before the wedding, something shifted. I stopped by Amanda's studio one afternoon to surprise her with lunch. I had picked up sandwiches from her favorite deli. When I walked in, Dylan was there. They were standing close, looking at fabric samples spread across her desk. Both of them jumped when they saw me. The air felt strange, thick, with something I could not name. Dylan was just helping me finalize some decoration ideas for the bachelor party, Amanda said quickly, smiling too brightly. Yeah, man, Dylan added, running a hand through his hair. Wanted to make sure everything is perfect. I nodded, handed Amanda her sandwich, and tried to ignore the uncomfortable twist in my gut. It was nothing. They were just planning. I was being paranoid. A week later, I called Dylan around 11 at night to ask about picking up the tuxedos. He said he was at the gym, but in the background I heard lounge music and the clink of glasses. When I mentioned it, he laughed it off, said he had stopped for a drink after his workout. I believed him, or I wanted to. Then there were the little things with Amanda. She started responding to my calls slower. Her voice sounded different, distracted. One night, her phone screen lit up on the nightstand while she was in the shower. A text from Dylan tonight was close. When she came out, I asked about it. She did not even hesitate. "Oh, we almost got caught buying your surprise gift. He is helping me pick something special." She kissed my forehead and climbed into bed. I wanted to believe her. I needed to believe her. We were getting married in less than 2 weeks. Doubts had no place in my mind. So I shoved them down, locked them away, and focused on the countdown. Just a few more days, then everything would be perfect. The bachelor party was on Friday night, the night before the wedding. Dylan had reserved a private section at an upscale bar in downtown Portland. Around 15 of my closest friends showed up. There were drinks, pool tables, a karaoke machine that saw far too much use. Everyone was in high spirits, laughing, reminiscing about college days, making toasts to my last night of freedom. I tried to enjoy myself. I really did. But I could not shake the feeling that something was wrong. My mind kept drifting back to Amanda. I kept checking my phone, hoping for a message from her. She had texted earlier saying she was having a quiet night with her bridesmaids, watching movies and doing face masks. I wanted to be there with her instead of here. I nursed a few beers but stayed relatively sober. Dylan kept pushing shots in my direction, grinning that familiar grin. "Come on, Carson. Live a little. This is your last night as a single man." By 10 o'clock I was done. The noise, the crowd, the forced celebration, it all felt hollow. I found Dylan near the bar and told him I was heading out early. I needed rest for tomorrow. He laughed, clapped me on the shoulder. "Your last night of freedom, man. Make it count." I forced a smile, said my goodbyes, and left. The drive back to my hotel was quiet. I had booked a room downtown for the night before the wedding. Tradition said I should not see Amanda until the ceremony. I parked, rode the elevator up to the 12th floor, and stepped into my room. The city stretched out beyond the window lights, flickering like stars. I sat on the edge of the bed, loosening my tie. I thought about calling Amanda to say goodnight, but I did not want to interrupt her evening with the bridesmaids. Instead, I opened my phone to set an alarm for the morning. That was when I saw it. A notification from my cloud storage. A folder had been shared with me. From Dylan. Curious, I tapped it open. My stomach dropped. Photos. Dozens of them. Amanda and Dylan. Together. Not in the way friends are together. Intimate. In bedrooms I recognized. Timestamps going back 2 months. Some from last week. Some from today. My hands started shaking. I scrolled further. Screenshots of text messages. Conversations between them. Plans to meet. Explicit messages that made my chest tighten. Amanda had written, "I cannot wait for this wedding to be over. Then we can stop sneaking around." Dylan had replied, "Why wait tonight? He will be at the party." I felt like the floor had disappeared beneath me. My vision blurred. My breathing came short and fast. This could not be real. This could not be happening. My phone buzzed. Another message from Dylan. A new photo. Amanda asleep in a bed I recognized as his. The sheets, the nightstand, his apartment. The text read, "She was never yours to begin with, Carson. Just thought you should know before you make a huge mistake tomorrow. You are welcome." Another message followed. "Honestly, I did you a favor. She came to me, bro. Said you were too boring, too safe. She wanted excitement." Then an emoji. A laughing face. I sat there frozen. My brain struggled to process what I was seeing. My best friend, my fiancée, Together, for months, behind my back, while I planned a wedding, while I dreamed of a future. I do not know how long I sat there. Minutes, hours. Time felt meaningless. Finally, I called him. My fingers moved on autopilot. He answered on the second ring. His voice was smug, amused. Finally got the message. I kept my voice steady, calm. Where is she? She is here with me. Want to talk to her. Oh wait, she is a bit occupied. He laughed. I heard sounds in the background, voices, movement. I am coming over, I said. Sure, come watch if you want. Address is the same. I hung up, grabbed my keys. The drive to Dylan's apartment took 15 minutes. 15 minutes of white noise in my head. 15 minutes of my world ending in slow motion. I parked outside his building, took the stairs instead of the elevator, walked down the hallway to his door, knocked. Dylan opened it. He was wearing only boxer shorts. That smirk was still plastered across his face. Behind him, Amanda sat on the couch, wrapped in one of his shirts. Her hair was messy. Her expression was guilty, but not guilty enough. Not remorseful, just caught. I stepped inside, looked at both of them. Dylan leaned against the wall, arms crossed, looking pleased with himself. Look, man, he said. This has been going on for months. Amanda and I. We have something real. You are a nice guy, but nice guys finish. Last you know. Amanda stood up, wrapping the shirt tighter around herself. Carson the First, I am sorry. I did not plan for this. It just happened. How long, I asked. Her eyes dropped. Since the engagement party. The engagement party. 6 months ago. The night we celebrated our future. The night everyone toasted to our happiness. That night, Dylan grinned. Every time you were at work late, every weekend, you went to see clients. We were together. She was never really yours, Carson. I stood there, silent, not yelling, not crying, not throwing punches, just looking at them. Two people I thought I knew, two people who had destroyed everything. Dylan frowned, clearly disappointed by my lack of reaction. Say something, man. Scream. Hit me. Do something. I shook my head slowly. I have nothing to say to you, either of you. I turned and walked toward the door. Dylan called after me. That is it. Wow, even more pathetic than I thought. I did not look back. I walked out, down the stairs, to my car, drove back to the hotel. I did not sleep that night. I sat in the dark, staring at the city below. The pain was there, sharp and relentless, but beneath it something else emerged. Clarity. Cold, crystalline clarity. If I reacted emotionally, Dylan won. If I fell apart, they both won. But if I stayed calm, if I thought strategically, I could control this. I could make sure they faced consequences for what they had done. I opened my laptop, started thinking, planning. I knew things about Dylan, about Amanda, information that could be useful. Dylan worked at a large marketing firm downtown. He was a senior account manager. His company was currently in negotiations for a major contract with one of my clients. A client I had a strong relationship with. Amanda had her own studio, but it was fragile. Most of her high-profile clients came through connections I had made. The building she leased for her studio belonged to my uncle. I started writing emails. Not emotional rants. Professional, factual emails backed by evidence. I took screenshots of everything Dylan had sent me. The photos, the messages. Organized them into folders. Then I contacted the wedding planner and the venue manager. I asked them to keep everything as planned for the morning. Do not cancel. Do not change. But I requested a small adjustment. Instead of a wedding ceremony, it would be an announcement gathering. They were confused but agreed. At 5 in the morning, I started sending emails. The first went to the Human Resources Department at Dylan's company. I attached evidence, showing that Dylan had engaged in an inappropriate relationship with the fiancée of a business partner. I included screenshots of messages sent during work hours using company resources to arrange meetings. The second email went to the CEO of Dylan's firm, a man I had worked with on a project 2 years prior. I explained the situation calmly and professionally. I attached the same evidence. I pointed out the ethical violations. I also forwarded information to 3 of Dylan's biggest clients. 2 of them were personal friends of mine. I explained what had happened. I highlighted concerns about his integrity and professionalism. Then I called Amanda's parents. I did not yell. I did not cry. I simply told them the truth. I sent them a few pieces of evidence. They were shocked, horrified. Her mother started crying on the phone. Her father was silent, then angry. Not at me, at Amanda. I called my own parents next. Explained everything. They wanted to cancel the whole event, but I stopped them. Trust me, I said. Let it play out. At 9 o'clock, guests started arriving at the winery. They were dressed in their finest, carrying gifts, smiling and laughing. The venue looked beautiful. White peonies and eucalyptus lined the aisle. Candles flickered on every table. Everything was perfect, except there would be no wedding. Dylan arrived around 9:30 wearing his tuxedo, looking smug. He whispered something to one of the groomsmen, smirking, probably joking about how I had not shown up. Amanda came next in her wedding dress, a stunning white gown with lace sleeves and a long train. She looked nervous, but she was there. I guess she thought I would not have the guts to confront her publicly, or maybe she thought I would just not show up at all. At 10 o'clock I walked in. I was wearing my suit, perfectly pressed, tie straight, calm, collected. The room went silent. People turned to look. Confusion rippled through the crowd. I walked up to the podium where the officiant was supposed to stand. I picked up the microphone. Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for being here today. Polite applause. Uncertain smiles. I know you came here for a wedding, but I am afraid there will not be one. Gasps. Whispers. People looking at each other trying to understand. I looked directly at Dylan and Amanda. Both of them had gone pale. Last night I discovered that my fiancé and my best man have been having an affair. For months. Behind my back. Silence. Total suffocating silence. Amanda's mother covered her mouth with her hand. Dylan's face drained of color. I have evidence, I continued. Photos, messages, everything. I will not show them out of respect for some of you here. But they exist. I turned to Dylan. Dylan told me last night that she was never mine to begin with. Maybe he is right. But here is what he does not know. I nodded to the AV technician I had hired. A projector screen lowered behind me. Images appeared, not the photos of them together, but screenshots of emails, responses from Dylan's company, from his clients. Dylan, by the time you check your phone, you will realize you no longer have a job. Your company terminated you effective immediately this morning. Your clients have pulled their contracts. Your reputation in this industry is finished. Dylan's eyes went wide. He fumbled for his phone. I looked at Amanda. Amanda, your parents now know everything. The studio lease you signed last month. That building is owned by my uncle. The lease was terminated this morning. Her hands flew to her mouth. Tears started streaming down her face. I stepped back from the microphone. I will not marry someone who betrayed me, and I will not let that betrayal go unpunished. You two deserve each other. Enjoy your lives. I set the microphone down and walked toward the exit. The room erupted, voices rising, people shouting questions. Dylan ran after me, yelling, "You cannot do this. This is insane. You are ruining my life." I kept walking. Security guards I had hired intercepted him. I did not look back. I walked out into the sunlight, got into my car, and drove away. I drove east away from Portland, toward Mount Hood. I had rented a small cabin there weeks ago, for what was supposed to be our honeymoon. Now, it would be my refuge. The cabin was tucked into the woods surrounded by Douglas firs and the sound of a nearby creek. I spent the first few days alone, walking through the forest, sitting on the porch with coffee, letting my mind go quiet. The pain was still there. It sat in my chest like a stone, but alongside it was something unexpected. Relief, freedom. The weight of doubt I had been carrying for weeks was gone. I did not have to ignore red flags anymore. I did not have to convince myself everything was fine when it was not. My phone buzzed constantly for the first week. Messages from friends, calls from family. I answered a few. My closest friends were supportive. Some admitted they had never liked Amanda, but they had not felt it was their place to say anything. A few mentioned they thought Dylan was always too competitive, too eager to one-up me. I appreciated their honesty, even if it came late. News about Dylan spread quickly through our professional circles. He had indeed lost his job. His clients had dropped him. No other firm in Portland would touch him. His social media went dark. I heard through mutual friends that he had moved back to his hometown in Eastern Oregon, living with his parents, struggling to find work. Amanda's studio closed within a month. Without the lease, without clients, she could not sustain it. She moved back in with her parents. I also heard that her relationship with Dylan fell apart fast. Without the thrill of sneaking around, without the drama that had bonded them, they had nothing. They blamed each other for the fallout. It ended bitterly. I did not feel satisfaction hearing these things. I felt nothing. Indifference. And that, I realized, was the real closure. When someone no longer has the power to hurt you, when their choices no longer affect your peace, that is when you know you have moved on. A month after the non-wedding, I returned to Portland. But I was not the same Carson who had left. I was sharper, stronger, more aware. I threw myself into my work. A large project I had been pitching for months got approved. I was put in charge of designing a new mixed-use development downtown. It was the opportunity of my career. I reconnected with old friends I had neglected during my relationship with Amanda. I joined a recreational basketball league and met new people. One of my buddies from the league introduced me to his sister, Lauren. We grabbed coffee one Saturday. Just talked. No pressure. No expectations. It was easy. Comfortable. I was not ready for anything serious, and I told her that. She smiled and said she was not either. We became friends. Over time, I realized how different it felt to be with someone who was honest, who did not play games, who showed up as exactly who they were. Looking back, I could see all the red flags I had ignored with Amanda. The way she always needed validation from other people. The way she became distant when I was busy with work. The little lies that I convinced myself did not matter. My gut had been telling me something was wrong for weeks, maybe months, but I had not wanted to listen. I had wanted the fairy tale. The greatest lesson I learned was not about trust or betrayal. It was about listening to yourself. Your instincts exist for a reason. When something feels off, it usually is. Ignoring it does not make it go away. It just delays the inevitable pain. I also learned that revenge is not about hatred. It is about justice. I did not destroy Dylan's career because I hated him. I did it because his actions had consequences, and he needed to face them. Walking away would have been easier, but it also would have left him free to do the same thing to someone else. Sometimes holding people accountable is not cruel. It is necessary. And maybe the most important thing I learned sometimes, the worst thing that happens to you becomes the best thing that never happened. If I had married Amanda, if I had not found out until after we had built a life together, maybe had children, the damage would have been catastrophic. Discovering the truth, when I did, painful, as it was saved me from a far worse future. A year later, I found myself standing in the same art gallery where I had first met Amanda. But this time I was there with Lauren. We were looking at a new exhibition, debating the meaning of a sculpture made of twisted metal and glass. "It is about resilience," she said. "Something broken, reformed into something stronger." I smiled. Maybe she was right. Life has a way of working out, not always the way you planned, but often the way you needed. The worst betrayal taught me the most valuable lessons. It showed me what I would not tolerate. It showed me my own strength. And it cleared the path for something real, something honest, to enter my life. You cannot control the choices other people make. You cannot stop them from lying or betraying or hurting you, but you can control how you respond. You can choose to fall apart, Or you can choose to stand up, face the truth, and build something better. And that choice makes all the difference. So let me ask you, have you ever had to walk away from someone you thought you knew? Have you ever discovered a truth that changed everything? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more real-life stories. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Thank you for listening. And remember, sometimes the hardest goodbyes lead to the best new beginnings. Take care of yourself and trust your gut. It knows more than you think.